What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Revived, episode number 12. I am your host, as always, Shane Craig, and joining me is the lovely Jessie Craig.
Hello.
I think we've got a pretty awesome show for you guys today. Obviously, the biggest news of, as far as video games go, maybe like the biggest news of like the year. Bethesda being bought by Microsoft. We've held off making any videos talking about this, and, any other just standalone videos, because I wanted to take the time to talk about it in the podcast to really be able to deep dive into it. So we're going to probably spend the majority of the show talking about Bethesda being purchased, ZeniMax being purchased by Microsoft, and generally what that means for the world. We've also got our next game in the top 10 games of the decade. It's a game that we actually both have played this time, as opposed to what we've had in the past. It's a game that we both love a lot, so I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about that as well. Yeah, and of course, like I said the other day, like they're all like a tie for 97. So this is also number 1. It's also number 5. To me, it's probably might be my number 1 game of the decade. It'd be up there really high. It'd be interesting to talk about.
I don't know what it is, but I'm interested.
Of course. So let's just kind of start off by talking about what we've been up to lately. Normally we talk about what games we've been playing, but I kind of want to branch out a little bit and let ourselves, talk about more than just what games we've been playing. What have you been, anything new you want to share before we start the show proper?
I don't have anything really new, except for the 3D AllStars Mario Sunshine that I've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played the Mario 64. I plan on playing that one, and obviously Mario Galaxy. But right now I'm just living in nostalgia, playing Mario Sunshine, and everything is good and warm, tropical, and I love it.
I know you've been playing a lot of Sunshine, and I think that you've had some frustration with some of those. I'm weirded out by Sunshine in one really specific way. There's no long jump there's no long jump in that game. Like 3D Mario games, you're supposed to be able to run, hit the shoulder, the crouch button, right? And then jump. Boom, boom. And you long jump. And you can't do that in Sunshine. And it's very strange to me, because that's like an integral part of the platforming in the 3D Mario games.
But see, I did not grow up with all of that. So to me, I'm like, this is normal. This is fine.
Right.
I used the little spinning jump.
Where you run one way, you run away from where you're going, then immediately double back, and then you do like a somersault.
Yeah, that's what it is, like a somersault. So that's the one that I used to make a distance jump. But like I'm not missing that because I never played any of the other Mario games,
right.
Really. This is the first Mario game I ever played.
That's so wild.
That's kind of sad.
That is so wild to me.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. That's the first Mario game I ever played. It's a good game. It's just odd that was your first.
I don't want anybody to judge me for that, because I had a Mario game when I was younger, and we were a poor family, and my cousins came over one day and they broke my NES or SNES, whichever one it was, before I ever even got to play with it. So
devastating.
And then after that, there's no buying another one. So I didn't get my Mario fix until I was well on into the GameCube. I was like 13. So
Craziness.
Yep.
Craziness.
That's why I love that game.
Well, I haven't really been playing anything new myself. I've actually really been enjoying PUBG again the last few times we played, and I don't know why. I just go through phases, but I've been enjoying it lately. The biggest thing I've been doing is just staring into the Surface Duo a lot, using it a lot. And I don't necessarily want to spend a ton of time on this thing, but I do want to give like a really brief, kind of like a little brief update. I did my really long review. It's like a half an hour long review, so I've said so much about it already. But in the last 2 weeks since it's been out, things like the launcher beta, which I've made a video about, has made such a big difference on this thing. It's incredible. I would say that just in terms of an update as to where I think this thing is now, if my opinion has changed at all, it has gotten considerably better. The problems that I talked about, the annoyances that I talked about in the very long review have been pretty greatly minimized, and it seems like there's really good reason to be optimistic about where this thing's going to be in 6 months, and I honestly can't wait for 6 months to go by to get 6 months worth of updates to be able
that's
to.
sad though.
I want to see where this thing goes, and because I think 2 weeks in with the launcher betas has made such a big difference. We also have, apparently there's some Gcam people working on ports for this thing. I'm trying to get into the testing so that I can help test the Gcam port.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
6 months from now, this thing could be in such a better place than it was at launch. It's not even funny. A lot of people freaked out. Oh, it's not ready. You shouldn't have launched it. Blah 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 blah. Fair, sure, whatever. If you experience these bugs and it's a game-ending thing for you, that's your own subjective experience. It wasn't for me. It was annoying at times, but I would say where before, maybe in a full day, I would have 10 times in a day that, it wouldn't want to close correctly, or I would, throw an app to the other screen instead of closing it, whatever. Now that's maybe happening 4 or 5 times. So it's been cut in half. It's a substantial improvement. So just a little brief update there on my good friend, the Surface Duo. I think it's coming along very well, and I think that there's, like I said, really good reason to be optimistic about where this thing's going to end up. I think it could wind up being really... It's a great device. It's like when you're like watching like sports and like a young player is getting drafted and they're like, well, their ceiling is here. This is how good they could be. They could be incredible, but their floor is also way down here, so they could be terrible. The Duo was like that. The ceiling was really high and the floor was really low, but the floor has now come up. The floor has now come up, so the potential's really high still, and now the worst it could be is now better than the worst it could be before. It's a little better in that regard. So just wanted to give a brief update there. I am still waiting for Spelunky 2 to launch on Steam. I will definitely be very excited to play more Spelunky. Yeah, I love me some Spelunky. I played a lot of that game.
We played a lot of that, and what's really surprising to me is that I normally don't like to play games a lot that I'm really bad at, but that's one of the games that I really did like to play.
It was fun. I loved the idea of getting a little bit further each time. I love the silliness of it, the randomness of it. Can't wait to play more of it. Can't wait for it to come out. It should be soon. They're saying within a couple of weeks of the PS4's launch. It's out on PS4, so definitely want to try that out. I've got my Xbox controller here ready to rock and roll when it's time.
I don't know how I'm gonna play it. I don't know if I'm gonna play it with a controller.
I can't imagine playing a platformer with a mouse and keyboard. That just seems insane. I'm gonna try it. Just seems crazy. People play like Rocket League on their mouse and keyboard, and I'm like, what kind of psychopath are you playing? Well, it's insanity. What's really weird is that when I got when you built my PC and I started playing games on it, I was like really, really struggling with the mouse and keyboard. And I was like, I can't do this. But now that I've been playing mostly on there, like if I go back to the PS4, it just feels weird having a controller in my hands. On certain games, absolutely. Yeah. It just feels like I'm, I don't know, learning to drive again for the first time. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how I like it, because I don't know, I get a little bit frustrated trying to hook up a controller to PC. Well, the Xbox controller is 100% the way to go when it comes to that, because it's plug and play. You plug in a USB dongle and you're off and running. So if you're going to do it that way, if you're going to use a controller, that's 100%. Like it's just already supported. Yeah. Plug it in and off you go. You're done. So before we get into our primary topics today, I do want to just take a brief moment to remind everyone how very important iTunes reviews and that like button is in terms of the algorithm. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more people watch our content, which I also want more people to watch our content because it's very important to me. hitting that like button, going to iTunes or wherever it is you're listening, and leaving even just a rating or a review is extremely important. I would love to get to a place where we used to be with our podcast back in the day, where we would read off iTunes reviews. So if you do leave a review, we'll read it off on the show, and we'll kind of give you a shout out and a thanks for that. Leave some good comments down there as well if you're watching on YouTube. We would be greatly appreciative of that. So I guess let's dig into the big news. Microsoft buys ZeniMax, the owner of Bethesda, for $7.5 billion with a B dollars for some.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's more than Disney paid for Marvel. I mean,
Holy crap.
It's kind of incredible to think about how much money that they just paid for Bethesda. I mean, God, I guess they're worth it. It's Microsoft. They're not known for just throwing money away. But that's I think Disney paid $4 billion for, was it for Marvel or was it for Star Wars? I think I'm thinking of Star Wars. Let's see.
Probably Star Wars.
Marvel,
Stars Wars.
Stars Wars. Let's see how much they paid for Stars Wars.
I like that better.
Stars Wars. It's the War of the Stars. They bought it for So ZeniMax was evidently worth almost double what Stars Wars was worth.
That's nuts, though.
$4.05 billion. Kind of insane if you think about it.
Yeah. It's weird that Stars Wars had more value than, or less value than
Less
Bethesda.
value than Bethesda.
Is it ZeniMax or ZeniMax?
ZeniMax.
ZeniMax.
Or I've heard people say ZeniMax as well, but you know.
ZeniMax.
ZeniMax. It's their parent company. I mean, it's 2,300 people worldwide, part of this company. They're claiming they're not nobody's getting laid off. And they're also claiming that Bethesda is going to operate somewhat independently. They're not going to get in there and meddle with what they're doing. So Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, like they're behind the Elder Scrolls Online, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, Roundhouse Studios. It's a lot that was included in that, not just Bethesda. But you're looking at the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, who knows? Doom, Dishonored, Prey, Quake, and Starfield. A lot of games. And I think that the first thing that comes to mind, the biggest thing that came to mind to me when you see the news, Microsoft buys ZeniMax, is what happens to all of these games? Do they now become exclusive to PC and Xbox? And I think at this point, the closest to an answer that we've gotten is that they basically said any game that already had a deal worked out. So I think there's an upcoming game called Deathloop, which we've talked about a couple of times. And Deathloop, I believe, is a timed exclusive for PlayStation 5. That is going to happen. So Microsoft is going to own a company that will release a game on the PlayStation 5 as a timed exclusive for the PlayStation 5. But that contract was already written. They're not going to fight that. After that, all they've said is it'll be a case-by-case type of thing. I don't think that means anything. That's such a non-answer. What does that mean, case-by-case?
That means they're going to decide.
They could decide.
Probably.
They could decide no every time, and that could still be case-by-case.
Yeah.
This time we decided it's going to be exclusive to Xbox. This time it's going to be exclusive to Xbox. But this time, exclusive to Xbox. I mean, it's still. What does that mean, case-by-case? Doesn't tell us anything.
Maybe it depends on, like, the status of the game. Like, is this a big AAA game? Is it going to be, a smaller game? I'm hoping that they're not going to do exclusives because I'm tired of that. Like, when Tomb Raider was a timed exclusive on Xbox, I was so mad.
It sucks.
Because I had to wait an entire year. I was like, I'm not going to buy that console. I'm just going to have to wait a year and avoid spoilers.
Did someone buy an Xbox because they wanted to play the new Tomb Raider?
I don't know. Maybe, probably.
You would think maybe someone did, and that's the point. So here's my thing. I'm with you. I hate exclusives. I don't like it at all. And to me, if you know, we're talking games as art, games as media to connect with one another and so forth. I would love nothing more if I could, you know, play whatever game on whatever platform. Now, I understand that we're a long ways off from that. I've used the example before of like how weird would it be that you go to the store to buy the new Star Wars movie and you take it home and you realize that your Blu-ray player is a Panasonic and it's only compatible with, you know, whatever, Sony Blu-ray players. And you're like, crap, I can't even watch this movie because I've got the wrong Blu-ray player. People would be like, this is ridiculous. This is so stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid.
If Disney released their own line of Blu-ray players and they're the only ones that could play their movies, people wouldn't be happy about that. But in games, that's how things work. In games, that's what happens. In games, if you want to play Mario, you got to buy Nintendo. If you want to play The Last of Us, you got to buy a PlayStation. I would love to get to a place where that's not a thing. I think that Microsoft, in terms of opening things up, has probably done the most so far. That you know, I can open up the Game Pass app on my Duo and I can stream to any Android device, not just a Microsoft device. They've got, you know, you can do it on your phone, on your LG phone. You could stream to whatever. You could play on your PC, you could play on your Xbox, play on your phone. And then, you know, of course, Microsoft bought Mojang or Mojang. Words are hard to pronounce, especially weird words. And yet Minecraft is still on the Switch. It's still on the PlayStation. They continue to update it. A lot of people were worried, like, oh, no, is Microsoft going to kill, you know, Minecraft on the Switch? No, they didn't. And in fact, they released this really lovely video, you know, showing green, red, and blue, the three brands
kind of like all
together. Awesome. Love it. Fantastic. That's the dream that Microsoft says, we're going to make money if you buy it on your PlayStation. We're going to make money if you buy it on your Xbox. So we make money either way, so who cares? However, do you spend $7 billion to not have these properties be exclusive? How impactful? I guess that's what you have to figure out is if Elder Scrolls, just imagine this, because this is difficult to overestimate the scale, the impact of. Okay, we saw the little teaser trailer, right, for the Elder Scrolls 6. This was like what, like 2 years ago now. We saw the little teaser video of it. I'm gonna see if I can get it.
I can't remember that. Like, we've had so much pop up that it's hard for me to remember that.
Yeah. Honestly, it is kind of hard to remember. I'm gonna play the little teaser trailer down there at the bottom. Actually, I need to adjust the. There we go. Now I can play it. Imagine if this game, you know, which everybody was like, oh, Elder Scrolls, oh my God, it's gonna be, you know, it's huge.
Yay.
Imagine if that's only on PC and Xbox. That would be absolutely monstrously important.
Yeah.
I mean, that, like I said, it's difficult to really oversell it, I guess I should say. Like, it would be incredible.
It's hard for me to imagine that, though. I mean, this whole time we're like, wow, Microsoft, they're really doing great stuff for the consumer. You know, they're making everything so accessible for everybody. And then they're like, well, hold on a second.
We just bought Bethesda.
Exclusives only, probably.
I mean, that's the question.
It's got to be what it is. Like, there's no way that they're just going to be like, this is fine. That's what I want them to do. But they're probably going to be exclusives, and that's going to push hardware. But I hope they don't do it.
Right. Well, but okay, let's flip back over to the other side. We already now know that in addition to the games they've already negotiated in their own first party games, EA Plays games are going to be part of the Game Pass. Well, Bethesda games are going to be part of Game Pass. In fact, October 1st, Doom Eternal is going to be on Game Pass. And going forward, any of these games will be part of Game Pass. So, would it be enough for it to be like, yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 and the new Doom and Starfield, which everyone's excited about, and Quake and all, on and on and on. Yeah. You can play them on your PlayStation, but they're all in Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Could they make enough money that way?
So like instead of having the option, as a consumer, I can buy
each one a la carte.
I can buy 3 games a year,
right,
and play them that way, and wait until next year to buy more games and be behind everybody else. Or I can subscribe to Game Pass and have them all right now
and spend less money. Well, I guess if you do Game Pass Ultimate, then it's going to wind up being, well, it's still not that far off, because 15 times 12 is $180. It's 3 games. And now games are apparently going to be $70, or at least some of them are.
Oh, they are going up?
So, I mean, even if it's $60, if you buy 3 full price games a year, then Game Pass is worth it, because you're going to get, at least in some instances, that exact game and, 100 and something other games.
I feel like they're trying to follow the Netflix model, and I think it's kind of smart. If you can have the majority of people subscribing to you and your service, even if it's not that expensive, which right now, like, anything under $30 a month is not that expensive to me. I think that's a fair price.
15 is about
when it's a streaming service.
Right. 15 is about where Netflix is at. And like I've already said, you get all those games and you get streaming to your Android device. I mean, it's hard for me to argue that that's not a pretty solid deal. And so check this out. In the last 6 months, Game Pass subscribers have jumped up by 50% to over 15 million.
Wow, I was going to ask you if we knew the numbers on Game Pass subscribers. I can't talk today.
So 15 million subscribers, that's $225 million a month that Microsoft is making in revenue.
Yep, and it's continuous. Who's going to be like,
I
don't want this anymore, unless they just sadly can't afford it. But
that's actually kind of bonkers. $225 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, some of this is going to go to, they have to work out deals with some of these companies. You put your game in Game Pass, we'll pay you, if someone downloads it and plays it for an hour, maybe there's a contract there that says, you're going to get this much cut for that person or whatever. So maybe they're looking at game play time and then divvying out money or something like that. That'd probably be the way it's happening. But still,
everybody still has the option to buy the game too, because some of the indie games don't stay on there for long. So.
Right. And man, if they can keep, that's in the last 6 months. What happens when EA Play is part of it? Okay, think about it like this. If you're going to go buy Madden and you've got an Xbox or a PC, why would you buy Madden? Just subscribe to Game Pass. It's there. And you're going to get UFC, you're going to get FIFA, you're going to get all this other stuff too. Why would you not just do that? You're going to buy, I want to check out Fallout. Why would you buy Fallout? You would just subscribe to Game Pass. It's clearly the better deal. And then what happens is now you're on the hook for $15 a month. And people that maybe, and the fact that it's bite-sized, it's not $60. It's 15. And it's 15 next month. It's not $60, $66, or now $77 with tax. I think it's potentially really, really intelligent, and that's what it's going to come down to me is can they make enough money in Game Pass? Does Bethesda and all those ZeniMax titles being in Game Pass, does that move the needle enough to get them to, like, what level of number of subscribers do they need to have before they're like, we don't give a fuck if it's exclusive or not, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I'd like to know how the financial stuff is working there. Like,
for sure.
how are these game developers and companies getting paid off of Game Pass?
Well, I know that with PlayStation Plus back in the day, I remember an interview with some of the guys from Psyonix that made Rocket League, because they were one of the first games on PlayStation Plus, games with gold. And they talked about how, I think that they got paid either by time played or by downloads or something like that. And that they mentioned that they didn't get paid as like it wasn't as if they were getting as much as they were selling the game, so they were taking a little bit of a hit, but so many people played that game and downloaded it, and they were confident in their game in the sense that they knew that if people simply played it, they'd be hooked, and it stayed on there for a month. So a month, a lot of people, millions of people downloaded it for free. But then after that was up, you had millions of people advertising for your game, saying, "Man, you didn't get Rocket League? You got to buy it. It's awesome." So they've said that Rocket League, the success it had was tied to games with gold, or whatever they call it. Games with gold was Xbox's thing. Anyways, PlayStation Plus is free games.
Yeah.
That was a huge part of their success. So hard to say, exactly what some of these companies are being paid. It's really, really interesting. We also have news or a rumor, I guess I should say, that game Starfield, which we've only seen, I think we might have did we see a teaser trailer for? It's a space RPG kind of thing that Bethesda was working on. Sony apparently had been negotiating a timed exclusivity period as recently as a few months ago. And then Microsoft just buys the whole damn company. That ain't happening now. So you've got them working on this deal. I mean, the timing of that is fascinating. You're imagining Sony communicating, trying to negotiate. You know that Bethesda's been in talks with Microsoft. You know that Microsoft didn't just show up last week and go, "We're buying you out." And they're like, "Oh, what?" Like, this has been going. They were probably talking to both companies at the same time.
Yeah.
And no one had any idea.
God, it's just the more you hear about it, the crazier it is. Like,
it's insane.
I wonder what the Bethesda employees are going through right now. I wonder what they feel, if they know like what the outcome is, if they're allowed to talk about anything.
I'm hoping that they're really happy, because to me that means hopefully it means job security,
and a bigger budget.
Right, more money to throw into these things. I hope that everybody's happy. Todd Howard spoke fairly positively about it as well. So I hope it's a really good thing for everybody involved at Bethesda. It's just such a crazy story.
One thing I have a question about is, are we going to have ads on Game Pass? Are they going to slip ads in?
Boy, oh boy,
what if
I
they
hope
did?
Not. I hope not.
What if they're like, "This is how we're going to earn back some of our revenue"? Let's not do that.
No, let's definitely not do that. Yeah, I mean, well, it's like, it reminds me of those Xiaomi phones that are slipping. It's like, "Oh, our phone has top tier specs and we're going to sell it for, $300. And everyone's like,
Yeah.
How are you doing that?
And they're like, "Well,
And yeah,
let me just tell you.
You uninstall an app and an ad pops up in your OS. And you're like, come on. Like, that's such horseshit. But I mean, hey, guess what? You've got a phone with top flight specs for half the price it should be, I guess
the only thing is you're getting bombarded with ads constantly.
It's a decision I guess you have to make. The worst part of that was that some of the ads that were slipping through were like adult stuff.
Oh, like inappropriate ones.
They had to fix that pretty quick. People were like,
"Man,
hey,
imagine you're
don't show me
at
porn.
Work.
Don't show me porn when I uninstall this web browser."
Let's say you're at work and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to close out Instagram." And then it's like, bing, 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 singles in your area.
Hot
looking to talk to you.
In your area. Yeah,
that'd be bad.
That's messed up. Yeah, I don't think that they'll do anything crazy like that. I think that, I mean, the math is interesting. It'd be really interesting at what it's costing them to do Game Pass. But if it's less than $225 million, then they're making a profit, and it has to be. It has to be way less than that, right? There's no way it's that much. Now, if you include the $7 billion they just spent, well, then it's gonna take some time. Let's. What was it? Was it $7.5 billion? Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
7.5. So that's 1,000. Okay, so if you do that and you divide that by $225 million, then you've got. Okay. Then
that's a lot of money.
You're looking at 33 months before they've paid it back. If all of that's, now granted, that's not all profit. That's just revenue, but not profit. But I mean, that's, you know, you're looking at 2.5 years. That's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. And that's just one revenue stream. I think it works out.
Yeah. And the numbers for Game Pass are probably going to rise rapidly.
Exactly. You would think it would. It's grown 50% in the last 6 months, and that's without really the knowledge of EA Play and Bethesda being in there. At this point, if you own an Xbox or a PC, why would you not be subscribed? It makes no sense not to be at all. It would be such a waste of value there. So it's got to go up. Like, honestly, like when EA Play drops in, I'll download Madden. I'll give it a try. I'd like to have Madden. Like, my buddy bought Madden, and he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have bought it. I'm going to have it for, you know, for my subscription here shortly, which I already, you know, use that subscription for other stuff. So, I mean, maybe the money's there where they won't have to. Maybe they won't have to go exclusive. My gut tells me that certain games are going to be exclusive.
Yeah, it has to be.
Like, and here's the question. Which way are they going to go? Are they going to say, the next Doom, big title, pretty big title, but not the biggest. We'll let that be on PlayStation. Elder Scrolls 6, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, or do they go the other way?
That would be such a weird thing, though, to not have an Elder Scrolls game available on a PS4 or 5, whatever it's going to be on a PlayStation. That's just weird.
I can't. Has there ever been a harder haymaker to an opponent than this? Potentially, if they go that route, if they want to be cutthroat and just raise a middle finger, is there a more beloved franchise than the Elder Scrolls that has more goodwill still towards it? It would be like. It'd be like if Sony bought out Nintendo and was like, you know, sorry, no, you know, we're taking Mario. I guess it really wouldn't, because
I would hate
Mario's
that.
already exclusive, and Nintendo. If Bethesda's worth $7.5 billion, what is Nintendo worth? $500 billion.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
seriously
not even close. Nintendo, like, they've been around forever, and they're just killing it every single iteration. They're killing it.
Except the Wii U. What would be a good...
yeah, except for that.
What would be a good similar parallel? What game would be a bigger impact to steal as an exclusive than the Elder Scrolls 6? I'm struggling to think of one. It is a multi-platform game. It's essentially always been multi-platform, at least in its biggest releases, that someone could buy out that would be a bigger impact.
What if this is not going to be as big of an impact, but it'd be like if Microsoft stole Crash Bandicoot and was like, nah.
It's ours now.
Naughty Dog is ours.
That would be pretty... Well, but see, even that...
It would be pretty big.
Those games were already exclusive. So it wouldn't feel that crazy. It would just be like it moved from one to another. What if they bought out, you know... What if Madden was suddenly a console exclusive to Xbox? That'd be a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah, it would be.
Call of Duty, they buy Activision. Activision's probably worth $50 billion. It's hard for me to wrap my head around how big this potentially could be. Fascinating in so many different ways. I think definitely something we're gonna continue to cover.
Oh yeah.
Something we're going to talk about for a long time. But let's move on to our number 2 game of the last decade as we come to the end of this decade. We're really closing out this decade with just a real shit show of a year. Although, who knows, maybe in 2030 we're going to look back fondly at 2020. And we're going to look back and be like, that wasn't so bad. Those were the
good old days.
That wasn't that bad at all.
No.
It was fine. What were we even worried about? There were still forests. There were still forests to be on fire back then. Now we just have.
Do you remember when we had cooler seasons?
Remember when there was a thing called winter?
And the rain didn't burn our skin?
When the rain wasn't of the acid variety. we've by that point we've probably elected somebody from Jersey Shore to be the president. Like, you know, the trajectory, we know it's going one direction. We know where we're going. The number 2 game of the last decade.
Can I make a guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
It is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yay!
What a game. What a masterpiece. It's such a good game that the first thing I want to do is read a negative review from Metacritic.
Okay,
so,
let's hear it.
Let's find a good, like, who plays this game? Who played Breath of the Wild and gave it a 1? Or here's a 0. Here's a 0.
The Grinch.
Here's a 0. This game runs like trash on Wii U and Switch. It's 2017, and having a 30 FPS game is bad enough. Well, hold on. 30 FPS is fine for most games. But when the frames routinely drop below 20, you have a serious problem. I don't remember it dropping below 20 FPS.
No, I'm thinking this guy was only playing it on the Wii U, and therefore that's probably why he had a bad experience.
There were some stutters at times on the Switch in handheld mode, but they got patched pretty quickly, and they weren't that bad to begin with.
I don't remember having any issues.
It was not that noticeable. We have occasional hitches and slowdowns, but nothing that serious. He says this game is basically Skyrim Light. The fuck, it's Skyrim Light. Skyrim wishes it was Breath of the Wild. Come on. There are very few outfits and armor to collect. What is this guy talking about? How much does he need? I would constantly look over at you playing, and you'd have like 10 outfits, 10 things of armor. That I'd be like, where did you find that? What even is that?
I have like 3 pages full of clothing. That's weird. This guy must have played for a few hours and was like,
These 10 out of 10 reviews are laughable and truly show how much credibility all of these journalists, he put it in air quotes, have. Love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. It has an 8.6 user score, which actually is low, if you ask me. 3.7 thousand positive reviews, 328 mixed, and only 203 that are negative. It's got 106 positive critic reviews and 3 mixed. No actual professional reviewer, apparently, according to Metacritic, gave it a negative review. Breath of the Wild is damn near perfect in every conceivable way.
And it's changing the way that developers are making games too. So
for the good. I mean, there's so many things that, like, I don't think the Breath of the Wild like introduced any new concepts really. It just refined.
Climbing on everything.
Climbing on everything is a big deal, and that needs to be in every game.
Huge.
Hugely important. But it did everything it did do so very well. Visually, I really like the art style. I think it's a really good looking game. I'm playing a video right now, and this guy's not very good with the bow and arrow, but whatever, you get the idea. I love the art style of it. I think it's a game that will still look pretty good several years from now because of the cel shaded look, much like how Wind Waker continues to look good. The dynamic nature of the world is just what blows me away. Like, I remember early on, we just saw a video here, if you're watching on YouTube, of one of the goblins with a stick, and he's twirling it around his head. Well, I snuck up into an encampment, and there was a fire there, right? And they spotted me after I took out one of the goblins. He was like, oh God. So he grabbed a stick and he stuck it into the fire, and he was going to like try and hit me with his flaming stick, which is funny that they do that. He starts waving the stick around his head, to intimidate me. And as he's doing this, he's setting the grass all around himself on fire. He's just creating this ring of fire around himself, and he's not realizing that he's doing it because he's an idiot. And at that moment, I'm just watching him like, this is hilarious. He then realizes that he's now surrounded in fire. He panics. He then catches on fire, starts running away. He's running around, leaving a trail of fire behind him everywhere he goes. His buddy's now like panicking, looking at him too. And I'm just standing there watching this. Like, this is all just played out organically. Like, it's just something that just happened. It feels like a real lived in world in a way that I don't know of any other game that is on that. I know people like, oh, well, The Witcher and so forth. I don't know that this game is so dense, and it just feels like a believable world that I'm in. I'm sure The Witcher, I'm big fans of The Witcher, would say the same is true of it. Fair enough. You know, good for you. I'm glad you enjoy the game. Man, though, and actually here's a video of him with a goblin with a flaming, and he just killed the guy with it. This guy sucks. So anyways, but just how dynamic in nature it is to me, I think is what made it so special.
Oh, on top of that too, there was a wonderful story, and they kind of they gave Zelda more of a personality than she'd ever had before. I know that in Skyward Sword, they really brought out her personality too. You know, like, she's friends with Link, and you get to see her in a way that you don't normally get to because she's normally captured or something like that.
Right.
But this Zelda was so lovable, and she was tragic and kind of relatable. And I love that. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do with this sequel that they're going to make, which, by the way, like, that's kind of cool that we're getting a sequel to a Zelda game.
Here's the question.
I mean, I know that we've had them before on, like, you know, like with Spirit Tracks and stuff, but
Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass. Wildly underrated, underappreciated, fantastic games. But you're right, we don't often get there was The Legend of Zelda 2, which was a side-scrolling, weird-looking game. And is that it? I hadn't even thought about that.
I think so.
That is very strange. We're getting a direct sequel. Here's the big question about this direct sequel. Will there be a new Nintendo console out before it's done? Because the history of Zelda indicates that you get one per console.
Yeah.
and usually it winds up being on the last console, kind of, and also on the new one. So, you know, you get, like, Skyward Sword, but then Twilight Princess was on GameCube and Wii.
Oh, Twilight Princess. I love that game.
And then Breath of the Wild split between Wii U and Switch. So, I mean, there's rumors of a 4K, you know, upscaled 4K Switch Pro.
Switch Pro.
Will this be a Switch Pro that will run the same games? Or will this be a Switch 2 that you'll have to play Breath of the Wild 2? I hope not.
I don't know if I'm ready for a new Nintendo console.
Why does it feel like the Switch is still new?
Probably because we all love it so much still.
It still feels recent, but, like, it's been out now for 4 years? 2016? Was it March of 2016? It was cold outside.
Yeah.
But not freezing. So maybe it was March.
I can't remember.
Something like that. I personally, I'm excited. Not to another one of my favorite, just not really a memory, I guess it's like an anecdote about Breath of the Wild, is that the person that I play, you might see in some videos, some gameplay videos, PUBG and so forth, that he tried to play Breath of the Wild and didn't, in fact, make it out of the opening area. And I would talk about how much I loved it. He was like, I don't get it. And I'm like, oh, how far did you make it? And he's like, oh, I'm in that opening area. Like, you didn't even get into the world. Like, you're in the... It's like walking into the foyer of a house and being like, not a good house.
I don't like this.
I don't like this house. You're in the foyer.
Nothing in here.
There's nothing here. It's just like a door and like a little empty room. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, open the door. There's more. There's a whole house. There's a whole house in here. I'm excited for the potential of Breath of the Wild 2. I think Zelda's going to take a bigger role from what we can tell in the trailers. I think it'll be very interesting to see where they take it from here.
Do you remember when there were rumors that they were going to let you choose to either be a female or a male?
I do. I think I think it came out that they actually were experimenting with that.
And they changed their minds on it.
I think that there was some truth to it, that they were feeling it out, and they decided that the story needed to stick with traditional Link.
Yeah, because Link is Link. So do we get the possibility of playing Zelda?
Could be cool. She's in the trailers in a pretty big way. So
it'd be really neat. and then that
Co-op?
way you can. Ooh, you could cater to your fans, but still.
Cool. How cool would that be? What if that's why they're showing so much Zelda? What if there's gonna be damn co-op?
Well, I mean, it'd be kind of. Listen, it'd be screwed up to save Zelda and then just be like, bye. Gotta do my own thing now. See ya. I gotta go tame a bear.
Could you imagine though, you and your buddy, you and your friend in that world exploring and going to fight a Lionel or something like that? Holy shit.
That'd be amazing.
How freaking good would that be?
It'd be like Monster Hunter, kind of.
And they've already brought multiplayer to the Mario series. So we know that they've got, multiplayer in mind. Man, start the rumor now. Let's make it happen. It
started here.
I
said it.
Man, that would be incredible. We'd have to buy it twice again. I mean, it is
whatever.
What it is. We have to do everything twice. I'm subscribed to Game Pass twice. So,
well, maybe
Animal
they
Crossing
need to start making family purchases.
That'd be a cool feature of their little like they've got for their online service. You've got a family plan, so that's cool, I guess.
Like, what if you bought a game and instead of having to buy it twice, you're like, oh, well, me and this many people are going to play it, so maybe it, like, divvies up the cost a little bit. Like, maybe you pay a little bit more, but you get, like a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, that'd be cool if they discounted it for families. Because that happens. Like, Mom and my little brother, and now soon my niece, they're all going to have a Switch with Animal Crossing on it. So that means they will have bought Animal Crossing three times on 3 different Switches. Insanity.
Oh my God.
So between all of us, that's 5 Animal Crossings that will have been purchased.
They're making a killing.
I was like, how is this game selling so well? Because idiots like us are buying it over and over. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. Currently, we're not accepting sponsorships for these as we're recording them this way. I'm feeling out whether or not I want to do that or not. We're going to come to some resolution there, so no sponsors to thank on this one. You still can head over to scaryflowderil.com though to see all of the links. If you're listening on iTunes, you'll see a link to our YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us on there and interact with us on those places. I want to remind you to leave a rating on iTunes or hit that like button wherever else you may be watching or listening. So that'll be our first posted podcast in this new format. So leave some feedback in the comments of what you think about this. You're still going to get the audio version on the same day. The video version will probably consistently be maybe a day out or 2 days out, just depending on scheduling and so forth. Being able to get Jesse in here to do this. So, I guess that's all we've got. So thank you for joining me today, Jesse. My name is Shane. This was Podcast Revived. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.